Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of I Bought a Watch. If you're new to the channel, I just want to give you a warm welcome and just a friendly reminder that if you do like what you see, please do remember to like and subscribe as it really does help the channel out. Before we get into the video, I just want to do a quick announcement about the poll situation here on YouTube. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's got a bit out of control as everyone and their dog seems to be getting on this trend. As far as I can tell, this is happening due to an algorithm change that YouTube has recently implemented that rewards channels that utilize interactions in their community tab. Hence the polls, as they get a lot of interactions, and that means that a channel will get promoted more the more they post. I'm not really a fan of the trend and much prefer emphasis on the content interactions and having a lively comment section. But just in case you see me posting the occasional post or poll every once in a while, please don't hate me. I will try and make them as engaging and channel relevant as possible. I think they're a really cool tool if used correctly. For example, when I did the poll for the 1,000 subscriber giveaway watch, and I hope to use it for future giveaways as I'm fast approaching 2,000 subscribers. That being said, if you can't really stand them, there is a way of turning off posts. If you go on the home page, you can select the three little dots in the corner and clicking the option that you don't want to see posts from this creator. Or if you're in your subscriptions at the top in settings, you can choose the option for seeing videos only. I hope that helps. Anyway, into this review. So today we're going to be looking at this review copy of the Relio Solstice, an absolutely stunning watch that was sent in for review. I don't get to keep it, so this means unfortunately I will be sending it off to the next reviewer after I'm done with it. But for what it's worth, Relio, I want to say that it has been a pleasure. The watch itself came in this rather impressive packaging. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. In fact, it's very similar to a Tissot box if you're familiar. Lovely presentation, plenty of compartments for you to put stuff in, and there's even a drawer for you to put in your spare straps. Anyways, enough of that. Now I know this one has been around a couple of other YouTube channels, so I'm going to try and keep this review a bit fresh and interesting, and that of course means going through my basic review structure. I will of course start with the background and then go over some dimensions and specifications, primarily looking at the positives. I will then try it on a few straps. I've got a lovely selection of straps from Vario and can't wait to put them on this piece. If you follow me on Instagram at IBoughtAWatch, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. You will have seen some of those, but I've got a few more, so stay tuned for that. Then after that, I'll round it off with some reasons not to buy this piece. Now, if you've not seen my reviews before, that doesn't mean that I'm outright telling you not to buy this watch. Quite the opposite, in fact. It's simply my way of outlining some of the key negatives that I think this watch has, that if you can come to terms with them, you can go out and pick this watch up without any reservations. Before I get into the background of Relio, at any point in the review, if you fancy going to pick one of these up, I will of course leave a link to the Relio website in the description below. From what I can see, the shipment of the watches from the manufacturer is due to arrive in the next couple of weeks, so they will be available for delivery pretty soon. And lucky for you guys, there's still a couple of unclaimed watches up for grabs on the Relio website. What's more is these watches are actually on a sale at a sale price of $375. So go pick one of these up if you're interested. A little bit of background on Relio. Relio is a company started by a couple, and the Solstice, this watch here, is their first offering. In their own words, they were attempting to create their own rendition of a go anywhere, do anything kind of watch, taking inspiration from the Omega Seamaster Aquaterra, the Zin 556, and the Seiko Saab series. A versatile, sporty, yet elegant design brief. They also mentioned how they wanted to carry those principles, but make their own watch distinct enough so that it wouldn't get confused with anything else, which I think personally is really cool to see coming from a micro brand. Okay, let's see how well they've stuck to their own design brief. Starting off with the dimensions, we have a diameter of 38 to 39 millimeters, depending where you measure from, and that bumps up to 43 millimeters with the crown. The lug to lug here is 46 millimeters with a lug width of 20 millimeters. The thickness here is a hair below 12 millimeters, which does include this subtly domed sapphire crystal. The beautifully domed AR-coated sapphire crystal sits atop that incredibly eye-catching red-black gradient sunburst dial. And what a wonderful dial it is. Exploring the dial a little bit, we have the elongated applied indices at the 12, 3, 6, and 9, and interesting diagonal cutoff indices which vary in length, which is something that I've never really seen on a watch before and really gives this dial an interesting look. The handset is a flat polished pencil style for the hour and minute hands and a square paddle seconds hand, which is wonderfully sized and floats over the printed minute track. Printed on the dial below the 12 is the Relio logo, and above the 6 is the model name Solstice and Automatic. I really like the model name, and what's more, I think it's a rather cool name for a watch. If you didn't know, and without getting too scientific as to why, the word solstice refers to the days in the year which experience the most or least hours of daylight, depending on which hemisphere you're in. Talking of excess or lack of daylight, let's have a look at the lume. Both the hands and applied indices are pumped full of BGW9 Super Luminova, which is long lasting in the night and gives this one great visibility wherever you are. Moving on to the case, we have a 316L stainless steel construction, which in design certainly draws a lot from the Sin 556. That being said, it definitely differs from the Zin with a whole range of finishing styles. Starting with the fixed bezel, this is finished in a high polish, which stands out nicely against the brushed finish of the top of the lugs and crown guards. But where this piece really gets interesting is when you start to look at the case profile. As you can see, both sides of the Relio have introduced this indented portion, which is finished in a bead blasted finish. This is a really interesting look and one that I, again, have never seen before. This probably isn't going to be for everyone. However, personally, I can say that on wrist, this finishing does give the watch a slimming effect. Round on the other side, the indentation is split by a set of crown guards and a 3 o'clock crown. The crown itself is finished in a high polish and is nicely signed with the Relio R. Unscrewing the crown gives you access to the Miyota 9039 movement inside. The movement features a simple 3-hand complication as well as hacking, hand winding, and a 42-hour power reserve. I will say that an issue I have had with this one is that it does suffer from rotor wobble. This is due to the fact that the rotor only winds clockwise, so if jolted in an anti-clockwise direction, the rotor effectively freewheels for a good amount of time, which can be slightly noisy and may irritate some. Looking at the rest of the caseback, we have a screw-down display caseback that includes the model number and brand name, some material specs, so stainless steel and sapphire crystal, and a 100-meter water resistance rating, which I think really is the sweet spot for a go anywhere, do anything kind of watch, so well done there, Relio. The watch comes on this wonderfully tapered H-link bracelet with solid end links, solid links, and push-pin resizing system. This is very comfortable and looks great on wrist, with that taper from 20mm at the lugs down to 16mm at the clasp. Speaking of the clasp, this is one of the things that's going to change for the sales model. I do have some pictures which I'm going to show on screen now, but as you can see, the clasp is changed from this press clasp to the milled clasp as shown. The new clasp will feature double security pushes and a fold over safety latch, as well as a rather excessive 6 levels of micro adjustment, opposed to the 3 we have here. So that ensures this piece will no doubt fit every wrist. Other than that, I imagine that the new clasp will still feature the etched Relio logo and will be similarly sized on this bracelet. Okay, let's pop this one on wrist and on a variety of straps. So as you can see, this one wears wonderfully. It's incredibly comfortable on wrist, and that compact lug to lug means that this one will fit on a variety of wrist sizes. Initially, I thought that the red dial would rather alienate it from the selection of straps, but as you can see, as I switch out the bracelet for the selection of straps, I found that this dial is surprisingly versatile and really looks great no matter the strap you put it on. As I continue to show you the straps, let me move on to the final part of the review, where I go through the reasons not to buy this watch. Now, of course, this does not mean that I don't think you should go out and buy this watch. It simply means that I'm outlining some of the potential downsides that I think you should be made aware of if you're thinking of purchasing this one. And I've got to say, before I get into this, usually I go over quality control issues, and for this piece here, there's really none to speak of. So these are all going to be very subjective. First and foremost, in my opinion, is the movement. Now, this downside is kind of twofold. First, I'd like to say that the Miyota 9000 series movements are well known for their accuracy and superior build quality. That being said, the rotor wobble that I mentioned earlier in this particular model is surprisingly noticeable and something to be made aware of, especially if you think the noise will bother you. My next point, and this one Relio have kind of brought upon themselves, is that although their design brief was drawn from the versatile nature of the Aquaterra, the Zin 556, and the Seiko Saab range, the main difference between their watch and the aforementioned 3 is the noticeable lack of a date window. Now, personally, I'm not an individual who needs a date window, but perhaps a small black date window at the 6 o'clock, similar to the Oris 56, would have been a really nice touch and really hammered home this piece's versatility. Okay, well that does it for this review on the Relio Solstice. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this piece, whether you've ordered it, and whether you think a date wheel is a must-have on a go anywhere, do anything type of watch. Anyway, that does it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And all that's left to say is stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Bye!